Okay, we'll call to order the Shade Tree Commission of the Township of Ocean meeting for September the 5th, 2024. We'll start with a roll call. Chairman Colton is here.
Louder.
Gordon,
Here.
Odette,
Here.
Kearns,
Here.
Brunheim,
Here.
alternate Lutz,
Here.
and alternate Armstrong.
Here.
Well, this must be a record.
Yeah.
Must be September.
The building's probably going to implode any moment. The notice requirements of the open public meeting law for this meeting have been satisfied. A copy of the annual notice was sent to the Asbury Park Press and the Coaster, posted in Town Hall and filed in the office of the Township Clerk on June 28th, 2024. This meeting will be recorded and available on Ocean Township's YouTube channel. Okay, so we have, as a first order of business, the minutes of the meeting of August 1st, 2024. Have people had a chance to review the minutes?
Yes.
Okay, are there any comments on the minutes? Okay, anyone want to approve or disapprove these minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, Mr. Conheim, motion to approve, any second?
I will second this motion.
Okay, motion Gordon, second. All in favor, say aye, raise a hand, make some other noise.
Aye. Jack Kearns says aye.
I wasn't here, so.
Okay, so,
Abstention.
Steve, are you going to abstain?
Abstain, yeah.
Okay.
okay, so you abstained. But we would call on an alternate, just abstain. We have enough to pass the minute anyway, the 4 members, so
Okay, it's
the
fine.
minutes are passed. Okay, that's a good thing. Okay, so I was hoping that Bill Brooks would be here tonight, and he's involved with some kind of thing.
He's on vacation.
He's on vacation this
Yeah.
week.
Oh, well.
I talked to him.
Okay, but anyway, he thought he actually would be here the other day, but he didn't make it, okay? So we'll talk about what some of these things are. The Barbara Lane trees, there are 3 trees on Barbara Lane, I think you said they're 7 acres, that are in the right of way. When I went and looked at them, they all had some kind of things wrong with them and so on and so forth, but that doesn't mean they should necessarily come down right away or not, okay? Bill mentioned, and I was hoping he would go into that further, that there is the biggest and largest of them, biggest and largest, that little redundancy there, but anyway, that particular tree is supposedly in the way of some kind of necessary sewer work. Okay? And did anyone get a chance to go and look at them at all?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not sure what the timetable. I sent him a message back when he told me he wasn't going to be making it, as to what the timetable is, timeline is for this other guy, but I don't know what it is. So for now, I think I don't think I'm not even sure what Bill's recommendation is. Totally, for these trees, and I'm not sure what the application required or requested. They request only 1 tree be removed. They request all 3. I don't know. I just knew that they were there. I took pictures so we could check them out.
This until next month?
So I think we'll table it now. If something's urgent, we may have to do something special. But for now, I would say, yeah, I can't. We don't have enough information to decide what we're even might be improving.
And this wasn't an area that was surveyed. I didn't cross-check, this wasn't an
I
area.
didn't get a chance to do that either, to be honest.
Okay. I mean, I would just say if there's anything that's imminently dangerous and hazardous, then,
I don't think it's that, but all of them have open wounds.
yeah, I saw that it's, some are I have no way of knowing, just looking at them. I mean, I did a drive-by, but I can see they've got some holes and things, but I don't know if they're stable or if they're imminent, danger
Right,
of falling.
I'm not sure myself. They didn't look like they were part of the major thing, because a lot of them were, some of them were even on a small thing and been cut off, and I was doing that, but what's like inside the tree?
So
Can't
my point being, which I didn't express clearly, is that when Bill gets back from his vacation, which is before our next meeting, that one of them is in imminent danger of falling and severely hazardous, that it should be taken down.
He
sooner
saw
rather
them,
than
he
later.
saw them, and I don't think that's the case, or else he wouldn't be talking about the application and what the homeowner possibly taking them down, which is what the rules sort of are now, even though it says we're supposed to take them down, as we all know, the ordinance, which every time I mention to Bill, he says they're theoretically working on it, but I'm gonna try and
You're
get a little bit better than, better information than that. So we have the procedure to address private property trees threatening the public right of way. Did I leave with that? Oh, so the second item, procedure to address private property tree threatening public right of way. Was this something someone else put in?
No, you did.
I'm not sure what that even means, because private property tree threatening the public right of way, I guess that was just for Bill to talk about that,
Yes.
but he's not here. We do know that there's a tree right around the corner, practically, that he saw, looked pretty bad, no one was home, blah, 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 he was gonna get to the homeowner when he could, and the mighty wind blew and thing came down in the middle of the street, right, landed on a car. Luckily, no people were involved. So I'm not sure and that's not necessarily a shade tree commission thing, but it's worth having a discussion on that, because they're not our trees. But something in our tree ordinance, we have all kinds of things about people who want to take down trees, but we don't have things about telling people they must do something before the trees things are hazard.
But this is taken care of in the ordinance because it talks about emergency procedures.
No, this is
Preemptive, right?
well, this isn't necessarily. We don't know what the situation is, okay? And it doesn't say, and it talks about emergency trees, but it doesn't say that the township shall tell the person to take it down, and they have so much time to take it down. We don't have an actual procedure that I recall of telling someone you've got to take that tree down.
I said to you that Interlaken does have something in their ordinance
Right.
where
Bill,
like you got a dead tree. they'll
Bill
come
sent.
along
Bill
and tell
gave
you
us
you gotta take it down.
did everyone get a copy of the Interlaken ordinance? Okay. I've got one here. I haven't had a chance to fully read it myself, to be honest with you, even though he gave it to me a week or so ago. Okay? But he said there are a lot of good things. There are a lot of good things in the Interlaken ordinance. So here's what I'm going to do.
But you found that part where they,
No, I didn't get a chance.
No, okay.
to look at anything.
I mean, I want I want us also to expand looking at Asbury's, what Asbury's doing in Asbury ordinances, because Interlaken is so tiny. And it's kind of like comparing apples to oranges to Interlaken. I think a much more similar town is Asbury Park.
but they're a lot more involved. Interlaken is.
It's more a question. It's a more question of the things that they've
been a tree city for a
taken into
long time.
consideration.
Yeah, but Asbury's
It's more the kind of things that they've taken into consideration.
Actually, I'm not saying not to look at Interlaken.
Yeah, no,
Look
sure.
at Asbury, because they are.
I would look at Lock Harbor, but I might look at.
Okay. Typical fashion.
Bigger town.
I think I grabbed the wrong clipboard. Throw stuff on.
Actually, who would be close? I'm just trying to think who's close in size, but have a fairly large.
Having looked at many ordinances, it doesn't matter about the size of the town.
Yeah.
Really the
Okay,
provisions
so here's-
inside.
Maybe more than the involvement.
Here's what I'm gonna do. Here's what I'm gonna do. I don't have it with me, but I have a copy of the Interlaken ordinance, okay? And my computer, my main computer sort of dropped dead, and I just got a new one, so I'm not trying to break it. Don, if I bring it in tomorrow, we can run it through the machine and, scan it in.
Yeah.
Right, and,
Mhm.
we'll send it out to everybody to take a look at. And as you come up with some thoughts, share them with everyone. So that we don't have to wait, we won't wait a month and so on and so forth. But you mentioned similar, that you've seen, and I know Bill said there was some things worth thinking about in their ordinance. Then we have the ongoing hazard tree program. I think it's mentioning that they have been doing work based on a combination of things that were noted in the tree survey and other things that have been detected. And the town is apparently doing some work, removing some of these trees that are in our right of way.
I don't think anything has happened.
I know.
I know we talk about it every month, but.
I can't say, but they haven't it done yet, okay? But I know there were several trees of that nature that are worthy of coming down before there's a problem, okay?
So, Logan by the school there, they ought to get that big dead oak down before somebody gets killed, because that tree is really bad. I've mentioned that one before to Bill, but it's still there.
Logan, near,
Just south of the school that the town bought. It's a
Oh,
very large oak, and I've seen it after a storm, it's big hunks of wood.
on the side of the road.
Correct.
That seems to me, that's the west side.
Same, yeah, yes.
Could you explain to me, and excuse my ignorance, the process if there's a tree, it's been shown to be a hazardous tree in the survey, we know it's a hazardous tree, like this one, you've mentioned it.
Right.
Bill knows it's a hazardous tree.
Yep.
What is the process for the public works folks to go out and do it? Does Bill have to okay it, and then the public works do it? What's the actual
I mean, it
process?
seems normally if somebody calls Steve, the head of the road department, he tends to set stuff up, but other than that, I don't think anything.
I'm not sure what the
It's
whole-
normally
you gotta
when somebody
remember-
calls.
You gotta remember that even though there are trees, legally, that there's someone else's responsibility, okay? Now, it's an emergency. I'm not sure whether first of all, it already says in the ordinance that we're supposed to take things down and charge the person for that.
No, I understand, I'm just wondering what the
But-
process is.
But I don't see that anything has been done with that list where anybody has come around and said, oh, this one really needs to go. Nothing's been done as far as that, yeah.
I mean, there are trees that are on public, that are on our land. I'm just wondering, what's the process? Let's assume the tree's on our land. What's the process for this, from saying this should come
I
down?
thought from talking to Bill, I thought they were doing some stuff, but
I don't.
if you say they haven't, then I don't know the answer.
I mean, most of the ones, somebody called us, yeah, somebody's called it in.
I mean, someone has to be in charge to pull the trigger and say, go over there and cut that tree down. I mean, is that Steve, or did Bill tell Steve? Do we know what
Right.
flow? I just want to know.
So I'm gonna say Steve, that doesn't have the list, and he's not going around looking. But if somebody,
Sounds like there's nobody going around looking.
correct. So if you were to say, oh, hey, this tree here really gotta go, and you call him up, he would address it. He would address it.
So
we have to determine-
Does the township have the means to take these trees down, or does the township just farm it out to tree
They
services?
farm out the bigger ones to the
And
tree
then-
service.
And
Well,
then
they do have,
secondly,
we do now have a bucket truck. It's not a giant,
No, they could do smaller ones.
but they can still do some amount of work, okay? Now, what type of training people have, or whether they can
Yeah.
Well,
get the training,
that's
It's
another
all
issue.
issues of that
That's a
nature,
whole other-
which
you
we don't
know
want to
all
have,
about that.
we don't certainly want to have an accident.
I love to play
Or
around
someone
with
who
bucket
doesn't know what he's
truck,
doing.
Get themselves in trouble real quick.
they should have the same training as somebody certified.
Well, that's
So,
it.
we're not
It's a real
clear on the
difference,
process.
But,
Right.
well, most of it's farmed, most of it is stuff.
But the other question is, who pays for it? Where does the money come from? Is it out of the township funds, or is it out of the tree budget?
I think it's mostly road.
Over the last few years, it's all been the shade tree.
So the shade
Because
tree
there is
fund,
no.
the shade tree fund supposedly to
Planting trees.
plant trees is being used to take trees down.
Well, there's two aspects, right? One is maintenance of trees, without even taking them down, right? All those trees that we put in on Reed and Perrine and some of the surrounding streets over there. I'm not really trying to, I always say that because I go to Perrine and Alpern and Perrine. All those gigando trees were down. And we went around and we wound up doing a planting of legacy sugar maples on those two streets and a few of the side streets back in there, in that section. I counted it one time before we started. I think there were about 111 trees that were part of that planting. And those trees, over the years since they've been there, because there was no maintenance done on them, they are what is affectionately referred to as a road hazard. okay? They hit the school buses bump into them, trucks bump into them. We did a very good job of planting trees that we didn't maintain.
There's a lot of areas
I
like
would like to
that.
see a process established.
There's a lot of
That's what I'm
areas.
saying, correct, but we need to have a process. And I've mentioned many times, and I guess I haven't been, gone around enough times, I mentioned it to Dave and a few other people, but it's a matter that we need to have a forestry line in the budget for DPW and not the shade tree fund. There should be something, for example, right now, let's assume we charge someone, it's your tree, he happens to be unlucky enough to have a giant tree in front of his house, right? And it's gonna cost, let's pick a big number, $3,000 to take it down. That's a big burden on him, okay? Whereas if there was a shade tree, if the fund that was gonna worry about these things, it's for the town, everybody in town would pay for it. So if there were only 2,000 homes in town, which there's more than that, if there are only 2,000 homes in town, it would cost every home $1 to get that tree out off the street, make everyone safe, okay? So that's what we should be doing in my opinion. And I think I'm just gonna have to, I'd say when I get my act together, but I can't wait that long, to get out there. We have to, get people in the council and everything else, and we have to make an appointment or something.
And when we get to the shade tree planning committee, I want to talk about this more because it's something that's really clear to me that what we need to help put in place so that we have a clear functioning, smoothly functioning process.
You're talking about that one development though. That's an area where the town could do that themselves with their smaller truck. And there's a lot of areas like that need just trimming.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't drive my truck around.
Yeah, right.
One of the things I saw during one of these continuing education unit things that I watched a year or so ago, they showed a tree, looked like a pretty reasonable tree, maybe it was 16 feet tall, 18 feet, branches on it. No, planted, maybe it was a 3-inch tree now or 4-inch, whatever it was. And the guy's comment was that when the trees mature, as the trees mature, not a single branch I'm looking at on that tree today will be on the tree.
Right.
That whole thing will have grown and have been limbed up above its entire height now. Okay? And that's sort of what's happened now. We planted those things, but we didn't.
We never limbed them up.
Right.
I mean, Hank was able to limb up most of those trees in the business area along with the Pecco. And limbed them up, and then they do very well.
I hate to say, well, the sidewalks are pushed over me too.
I
They
think
spent a lot of money.
So
We have a town that's
that happened almost
basically,
immediately, so somebody didn't do their inspections.
we have a town, the way it's set up, with the sidewalks and everything else, it's basically not amenable to street trees. Not really. There's one place on the west side, Deal Road, west of Found Road. You go in, because I was there with, it must have been Hank one time. But there's, whoever built these few houses, 3 or 4 houses there, the sidewalk is like 6 to 8 feet from the curb. Just for about 3 houses. Perfect for street trees, and that's kind of a situation. But you gotta have it like that. And that obviously the sidewalk is not even in the town's right of way. I'm sure. But that's the problem.
Anyway.
That's the problem.
Yeah, all right.
Turn to the
Okay. Personally, I think if you had the sidewalks right up to next to the curb, forget the space. You gain that space on the inside, and you can plant stuff. And maybe.
Yeah.
Okay. So we need to figure out those kind of things out. Okay. Now, second from the left on here was trees for Colonial Terrace. I mean,
where was that?
I'm not sure. I haven't been involved with it. I
So-
thought Bill was. I'm not sure who was involved.
Bill said he's putting together the list, and
I thought he had a list.
So he's
of
delivering
communicating with
it.
those people. So we need to talk to.
2 months ago, I thought he'd put together a list, so he was gonna deliver.
yeah, so we have to table this or reach out, it seems, we're running out of time, and this is all next month, and we want to get these in the ground.
Right?
Who wants?
So-
Who wants to volunteer to communicate with the Colonial Terrace people talk to Bill and the Monmouth Terrace people and see what we can do. But there's still time to plant this season, this fall season.
Yeah.
In fact, it's a little early right now, if you wanted to be. Especially considering that it's not gonna rain again until 28 or something like that.
It's supposed to rain again Saturday.
Yeah.
Heavy rain.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. It was supposed to rain this last weekend too. Friday, I looked at the thing, oh, we're gonna have rain.
It did.
Yeah,
Good.
not right.
Yeah, no shower, we had a
Somebody's
shower.
volunteering, somebody step up, I'm doing a bunch.
I was
Somebody else.
blistering. I'll admit, I was walking and I felt a few spritzes. I said, oh, maybe it's actually gonna rain, but no.
Did
Okay,
anybody volunteer? I didn't hear anybody. It's just a phone call to Laura, a phone call to Bill.
Yeah, I'll have to call.
Thank you.
Reach out.
Steve?
all right, you need some names and numbers?
Yes, I will.
Do you have that
Jack
information?
Kearns. Do you need Dave Brown in on this conversation?
No.
I think he's gotta be on a few of the conversations, not necessarily this particular one.
I am taking notes. Kelly Terry's here.
Oh, hi Kelly,
Hi,
how are you?
Kelly. I mean, we approved it, Dave knows about it, he wanted to know the details, Bill's gotta get the details today, eventually when the check gets, cut metaphorically or physically, Dave approves it with, I guess, Richard Cards. The finance, whoever the finance manager is, they approve it, and then it comes out of the shade tree.
I'm not sure, I mean, they've been using the shade tree fund, I'm not sure what the actual process they've been.
That's supposedly, according to Dave, I've spoken with Dave, and those, and when you read it, and he explained it to me, they approve it, final approval, and then it happens. So, I think it was just left to, I think,
Who's the they that gives the final approval?
Richard and Dave.
Okay. All right,
I believe it's Richard.
all right, that's good.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
go, it's Kelly.
So since we're talking about this, Kelly,
Yes.
one of the things that I think is a shortfall, and I'm gonna try and get to the council meeting one of these days, but the problem is that we don't really have a process for doing tree work that's budgeted in the town. Public Works has a budget, but they don't necessarily have a line for tree work. They got a truck now, they could go prune some small trees, but if we're really gonna do that with the Public Works people, there's gotta have to be some training, so that they don't harm themselves or anybody else, and stuff like that. So I think there should be something, and I'm not sure how big it should be, but some form of forestry budget. Now, the community forestry management plan that came as a product, it's more of I found that it's really not exactly a full community forestry management plan per se, but it's a plan that included some estimates for tree work based on what they've observed so far with our somewhat incomplete tree survey that we had done, since we only had so much funding to use. That stuff did identify expected costs for pruning and removal of trees on an annual basis and so on and so forth. And those are the kind of figures that, rather than be planning on taking it out of the shade tree fund, should be some part and parcel of the, the Public Works budget. So, I'll get off that soapbox, but at least you're here to hear it, and we do need to get together and sit down and talk about what kind of things might possibly happen.
Okay, so if I understand, you're looking for a procedural document on engaging DPW for tree removal, whether it's public or private, and you're looking for a budgetary document to outline anticipated costs for those types of removals, and then to put that as a line item into the township's budget as opposed to the Shade Tree Commission budget. Is that correct?
The reason is the public or private part is something we have to work out. The part that was private type stuff that we were concerned about was if there are hazardous trees that are found to be on private property, what is their actual procedure to see that those get taken care of? The tree survey that we had that was identifying for all the trees that were surveyed and any additional trees that we want to get to were all on public land. Okay, so when we look at these were hazardous or not hazardous, what kind of shape they're in, and as we survey them, was still in basically only surveying public property.
Okay, I have one follow-on question to that. Can I get a copy of the results of that survey for
Yes.
the trees that are on public? And
Yeah.
as far as
Sure.
those that are on private, we need an ordinance to address how that's going to be handled and who assumes that cost, even though it's a public hazard and it's on private property?
Well, then, that's just something that we need to address independently of all the other stuff that we've
I think
done.
you said they had to do an ordinance, right? You have to do an ordinance to have something?
I'm sure we're going to have to push something out to the public and ratify it, and I would imagine an ordinance would do that, but I think we need to understand all the ramifications because I anticipate pushback. If it's a public safety hazard, they're probably going to want us to pay for it.
There was, one of the things I saw, and I think there's a series of 3 of them that are probably kind of redundant a bit, but there were these, for continuing education units, there was some stuff about, it's kind of like street trees in the law kind of a thing. And it deals with, they talked about, they had some cases that they did where someone in the street was killed by a tree that fell, okay? And then it becomes, people sue, and it becomes a case of whether or not it was something that you couldn't have known that tree was going to fall because you were regularly pruning trees and stuff, but sometimes they still rot out from the inside and there's no way to detect that, until something happens to the tree, and so on and so forth. But those are the kind of things that we want to have. We should have a program to do the best we can to prevent an episode where something like that can happen. And then there's private property issues too. For homeowners, it's be the same kind of a situation. One of the examples they had was a homeowner who actually was pruning his trees like crazy, and it still happened, so on and so forth. Right now, it's not a common thing in the township, I'm sure.
Okay, I'm tracking. Thank you.
Would it be worthwhile to sit down with Steve Higgins and try to figure out what he thinks he would spend on some tree maintenance?
Yeah, I think I want to
have a budget item.
I want to distribute the report that had a thing, and that we'll sit down and go over that. So Bill has seen the report, but
Yeah, he would need to understand scope, and without that list, he can't develop scope for public or private.
I just read myself.
And I'll say again, I think Dave Brown needs to become part of this conversation, and maybe our legal people as well.
Yeah, I'm going to start by distributing the report, that we have to the council and to Jim Higgins, Steve Higgins, and the council, Dave Brown, and Bill Brooks has seen it, and all the others I can think, if anyone can suggest, I'll distribute it out.
An assessment of the public, how could we incorporate that requirement?
I'm sorry, Kelly, could you repeat yourself?
I understand like the report is the trees in the public. How can we do an assessment like to determine the magnitude of trees that are on private property that we will need to address somehow, either through ordinance or what have you? How can we do that?
Yeah, that's right. We're going to have to sit down at the round table and think about that. How would we do that? Because, we have the ordinance on private property trees, that Ken has been the prime drafter of, and so on and so forth. But it mostly goes into the rules and regulations for people who are trying to take down trees, whether they're healthy or not. So the question is, how do we address and raise the public's attention and consciousness to the fact that there are trees they can have on their property that are like time bombs, waiting for a place to go off.
Yeah, no, that in Azure Park, what they do is they basically do some educational work and let people know trees are hazardous. If you feel you have a hazardous tree on your property, contact the township, and they will send at the city, and they'll send somebody out to look at the tree. And so that they do that as a service. If you call, they will come out and look at your tree. And that's what I was talking to the Shade Tree Commission in Asbury, and that's what they do. Now, who pays for the removal of the tree is a different issue. And we've talked about if it's on if it's on, public right of way, but it's on your land, ordinance now says you got to pay for it. We're going, wait a second.
Well, right now,
So
technically,
changing
the
that.
ordinance says if it's it's on our property, it's in front of your house.
Yeah,
pay
you
for
got,
it.
you
So
have to pay for it, we
That's
want
the
to
thing we
change
think
that.
should be changed, but definitely if it's on someone's own property, it's obviously their tree. But the fact that we should possibly, in order to keep the public safe, have a process where we can give people assistance in evaluating the health of their trees. I think that is something
Right.
worthy of
I
doing.
think in order to really to move this forward, the first thing we need to do is establish a procedure or a setup to do the inspections. We've got trees out there that we know have been certified that need attention, but there's no process within the committee or within the township to go out and look at that, evaluate it, and create a list in order to move forward.
Because
Because if you got a list to move forward on, you quantify it, you can measure it and start moving forward.
you open up a can of worms by
Well, no,
doing
I-
that in the first place, because now, if something does happen, they can come back and say,
Well,
well,
we already have
it's
that
on
in the
the
survey, we
list.
already have that in the survey that shows all the hazardous trees that.
yes, but if
come
something
down.
happens and you haven't acted on this, and
Well, exactly,
We need-
that's
we need
why,
a
that's
process.
why you
We
need
need
a,
to
got
do
a
it.
problem.
that's
got
why
a
you need a
problem.
process to show that you're actually being, reacting to this and doing something about it.
Exactly.
Being proactive,
Right.
as opposed to
But
reactive.
we haven't done that yet. Okay.
All right.
Bradley Beach has a certified tree expert that they'll send out to your house and evaluate your tree, and he writes up a beautiful report for it and everything. And I guess the town pays for it.
This is when people make the request.
Yeah, you have a tree,
And
you're
is this
worried
guy
about
a
it?
Bradley Beach employee?
No, I don't know who, he's a certified
So
tree
someone's on
expert that they have.
contract.
And he'll come out,
Right.
he evaluates, and he writes a whole report. It was quite involved, I was impressed.
Yeah, I mean, we need the educational component and we need personnel.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, that'll be a great benchmark considering Mr. Brown came from Bradley Beach, so hopefully he has
Right.
some historical.
There you go.
There you go.
And by the way, he probably remembers how he did it. And they could bring it over with him.
Jack.
I don't know if it was after him.
Okay, so as far as the agenda is concerned, okay,
What's the action item?
Let's go to the next item.
well, no, but this is good. This is actually very good. But I had a review of the community forestry management plan. I don't know how many people on the commission itself have even gone through the report. Turns out they called it community management forest plan to start with, and I said, no, it's forestry. I said, let's change it to forestry. But then people at DEP said, well, it's really not a forestry plan. So maybe when they called it a forest plan, it probably was a little more appropriate for their thing.
Right.
Although, a lot of the stuff they have in there is something that which had included budgetary stuff for the future.
Right.
There's nothing we ever had in any of our forestry management plans in any depth, and it's something we're gonna have to do. But the next community forestry management plan, that per the official designation, is gonna be for 2025, and it's not really due. They give you 2025 to write the 2025 plan. But I'm hoping that we can get our act a little bit together better based on what they've given us and what our other plans were, to at least get moving and have a real project, so in 2025, we actually have a budget to do things and move on, as we're talking about today, the rate. That'll be a goal if we can accomplish that, that would be pretty good. At some point in 2025. Okay. So the stewardship grant, just to bring everyone up to date on the stewardship grant, right? We got, the survey and so on and so forth. And we're coming up with, we have more than enough in-kind contribution. Okay, I'm working with Ricky Gartz on putting some of the paperwork together on what we did and didn't do, because it included our meetings that we had and all that kind of included in covering that sort of stuff. The thing that's going to slow down the final acceptance of all of this is the paperwork that the auditors from the state apparently want, that shows you can't just show the person, you have to show all kind of payroll records. But if Ricky comes up with payroll records, they've got to be redacted. Who knows how much information and so on and so forth, right? So I was talking to him just yesterday. He's going to be in and out for the next But I'm hoping to get something from next week to show them and say, look, is this going to be adequate for us to send in something like this? I'm trying to get something like that out and see where we go with that. But when that's done and we finally get they say, yes, you've given us all the good work, then we'll get the money that we paid to Davie Resource Group to do the survey. And once it's also closed out, then as far as DEP is concerned, we could apply for additional grants if there should be something that they have that we could apply. But there's still other places that we apply for stuff, and I think we should complete the tree survey one way or another with whatever funding we get, even if it's ours. But if we can get a grant, that would obviously be good. Okay, then let's see if the community forestry management plan, I'll be sending that out. Right now I made a note to send it to Steve Higgins and the council and Dave Brown and Bill Brooks to see it. The two commissions, I'll send it to the Shade Tree and Environmental Commission members. Anyone else thinks should see it, just let me know. And we'll do that. Okay, then we have Tree Keeper. Okay, now I haven't gone out of my way that far yet to give great, Tree Keeper has 3 levels of viewing things. We had a survey. The lowest level, which I think we should put on our website, okay, will allow people to go to that site. There's no login required or anything like that, and you'll be able to look at the trees that were surveyed, what type they are, a few things like that, okay? The next level that I've given already to the Shade Tree Commission members, I'd have to look and see who else, but I should give it to the council members and Steve Higgins and so on and so forth, is to be able to actually look at any given tree and see what the report said about its condition and so on and so forth, and stuff of that nature. And I'm not sure if there's a third. I mean, that may be the level at which you can also remove a tree from the survey if it's removed, or if we plant trees, add them into the survey. Okay? I don't think, because the last level, which maybe it's an intermediate one, that's what I'm not sure, but the last level is where I can tell the system to send people, get onto the systems, right? So when you get on, I give you somehow, I don't even know what the temporary password is. I just give the person an email address for who it is, and their name, whatever it is, and the system automatically sends an invitation for them to log on and change their password and then have,
Have access.
at least the second level, the level where they can look at more data and so on and so forth.
Did they tag the trees they looked at?
No,
They did not.
They will have, GPS data associated with them.
So they're marked that way.
So they had a computer with.
I know when Interlinking did theirs, they had a little tag they put.
I don't believe we did that.
But if you got the GP right.
But you should be able to determine which tree is which. Well, I'll tell you, I was over by the library one day and I saw some trees and I said, oh, let's find this on the thing, because I know they did, the areas they definitely did were all the parks, all the schools,
right,
the library, town hall, all those kind of things, and then the street trees, what we got to. So I was trying to find it, and I still wasn't too sure, but I found the tree that I thought was right where it was, what I'm saying. It didn't seem like it was that kind of tree.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened. So the tree keeper also will get everyone out. Has everyone, just from curiosity, I'll let you just raise your hand so that no one will know who the guilty parties are. But has everyone been actually on Tree Keeper to change to create a password at least? Does everyone remember getting an email that said they could do this? Okay, well, all those naughty boys and girls, as it were, just to use terminology, let's at least create a password so at least you can get on there if ever for some strange reason you woke up in the middle of the night and said, ooh, I really want to know something about this.
Or you can sleep.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, the Shade Tree Commission
Planning.
Planning Committee.
Okay, so for those of you, just to remember, the Shade Tree Planning Committee is made up of myself and Ken, and it's got folks from the Environmental Commission and the Planning Board and the school system, the head of the science advisor for the school system, as well as Stephen Higgins. And the idea is to try to create a process for just how we make decisions on tree planting and management in the township. So that will help inform the new community forestry management plan. So trying to get information. One of the ways they're looking at it is like a Venn diagram. One of the first things we did, sort of look at what are the questions we need answered and what are the important components of making the decisions. So we try to create like a Venn diagram of where is there the most flooding? Where are overburdened communities that don't, that need more trees? Where is there less canopy and where has there been more canopy loss? And what we realized was there is some information we do not have that we need. We need a canopy assessment. There hasn't been one done since before the last forestry management plan, and I think we're looking at pre-Sandy. So we really need a canopy assessment. We looked at see if the county can help. We haven't had any success really with that. And we know how much Davies would charge. It's around 10 grand. I'm going to call another person I know who does, another group I know that does canopy assessment. I'll get another number, try to get another price from them. But we need to have that information. So that's some of the work going on. Some of the other work going on is outreach to try to see if we can get some engagement or some people interested in helping work with us from the overburdened communities. And when I say overburdened communities, I mean DEP designated overburdened communities in the township. And see if we can get some engagement from one or two people there so that this is a more inclusive process that we're doing. And the other thing that I really want to look at, we talked about budgets, was we need to have a clue about budgets. Historically, how much has been spent? I wanted to reach out, I've been trying to reach out to Steve, and he's been busy because he's on vacation, he's back. And talking maybe to Richard Gartz also, historically, how much have we spent on tree maintenance? How much have we spent on tree removal? How much have we spent on tree planting? Let's see historically what we're doing and get a sense of just even the proportions. X percentage.
I've got a little bit of some of that type of information because the New Jersey Urban Community Forestry Annual Report requires certain information, which I got from Mark Sakius and I got some from Steve.
All right, so please
Which
send
included,
what you got.
even though for some reason they include leaf pickup and all that sort of stuff in there. Somehow, like I figured out one time, we're not a tree city, but I haven't had the time. But tree city, I looked at their stuff, you could be a tree city with no trees that you're putting in, as long as you're picking up enough leaves that you're spending up more than 25 cents a person in town, or $1 a person, or something like that. It's like it's tree city, tree schmitty. You know what I mean?
So I want to keep saying the
me.
forest to the trees here. So let's
No,
just use the
okay.
fun.
No,
Like, send me what
in
you
that
got.
report, but in
Send me
that
what you got.
report, for example, there's brush pickup, right? That wasn't one of the things they counted
Right.
for some reason, which is more like a tree type thing anyway. But I can share some of those figures from the list.
And as you know, we're supposed to, by November, we're supposed to, tell the township what we think we're going to be spending on tree planting. And
it included what we spent on trees also.
yeah, so we need,
Most of the information that was meaningful from
so I'm trying to gather numbers.
recreation.
I'm trying to gather numbers. And what are the numbers also? So it's what have we spent? What can we spend? How much do we spend out of shade tree? How much of this came out of public works? And just to be able to create budgets that have some consistency,
Right.
and then we can plan the next 5-10 years what we plan to be spending on trees. So that's my goal, is to try to get some of the possible. So I'm
Okay.
done. That's it.
Okay, so right. Anyone have any comments on anything that Patty mentioned? Okay, so then we have the Shade Tree Federation Annual Conference. Do you go to that, Gene?
I have been, it's a little too dry for me.
I'm saying, are you thinking of going to
What the
I was
demonstrating
thinking, I
temperature change
need-
sauce?
I need-
checked yesterday.
for training?
I need the information. That's one
It's
down,
coming up, though.
down AC or no?
Yeah, it is an
It's
AC.
an AC.
It is an AC. I just got,
What is it?
October or something. I just
That's
got,
the,
I got.
we have the wrong clipboard. That was the stuff that Bill had some stuff that had a thing for it. I'll figure out how to get that to.
Yeah, to get it to us, 'cause, yeah, I am interested.
All right, so we'll share all that information, because if you want to go, we've got something resembling a budget to send you down there, I think it's, I don't know, I think it might be a Thursday and a Friday, I'm not sure.
Yeah, Thursday.
Yeah, I would,
better.
They used
I
to
am
have it on
not staying over
Saturdays, but I
in
think it's
City,
just
but I would
Thursday
try
and
for
Friday.
it.
And it's possible even that, the core training, which is, you learn a lot about the state's forestry programs when you take the core training, and one of the requirements to be eligible, for stuff, but it's only really one townsperson, employee of the town and one person who's in town is all they really need. So we've got that covered pretty good right now. Steve Higgins took core training and Dave Brown's taking it. And Carlos, I can't remember his name. Anyway, so, but even Kelly, for what it's worth, I'll send the stuff over to the, I don't know if anyone's got time, but it's interesting to get into the forestry business, so to speak. It can't hurt to know, what the community forestry program is. Like the license plate, the tree license plate came out of the community forestry program.
And helps fund it.
Matter of fact, yeah, I was going to say, and the money spent on those tree plates go into helping DEP get funding for community forestry program. Okay. Anything else, Patty? The community outreach and stuff. You sent out that rain gardens workshop.
No, Faith sent that around.
Oh, Faith sent
Faith,
that.
she's on the, I forgot Faith, she's on the planning committee. She
Norm,
sent it.
Yes.
I printed it out for everybody right next to you.
Oh, here it is. Okay.
You want another?
Sure, I'll take it on my phone.
All right. So apparently, on Wednesday, September 18th, at the Long Branch Senior Center, there's going to be a presentation by someone from Rutgers.
Chris Abrupta.
Oh, Christopher, okay.
Yeah, he's like
Yeah,
the
this was, the
state
thing was not a
rain
very good
garden
copy of whatever they scanned in. We'll be giving a talk on all about rain gardens. And at the very least, maybe I think, Donna,
Yes.
let's, maybe we'll try to get this up to Tracy. Maybe she can put this, we'll do some publicity about this thing for anyone who's interested. We could go over there and, learn about it, learn about rain gardens.
And one of the reasons I think that it works cross township, and Faith was talking about, to start thinking about ourselves, even though we can in terms of process and budgets, but we can, think about ourselves as a watershed. And we are part of the Whale Pond watershed, we're part of, we've got Deal Lake, we've got Whale Pond, we are in a we share a watershed with Long Branch. So, it's with sometimes coordinating together is very important.
I think even Whale Pond Brook got 4 or 5 towns there in the Whale Pond.
Water does not recognize our municipal boundaries.
No, just like the deer don't. Okay, so does anyone have anything else worthy of talking? I see we've got some people here who I don't know who they are. Miss Mary Ann, were you here at our meeting? Can you tell us who you are and what you were interested in?
Hi, just dropping into the meeting tonight. Just a citizen of Wanamassa.
Okay,
Welcome.
Thank you.
okay, and there's another caller who's not identified.
No. Is that Musha?
It might be.
No, that's not
No.
Moshe. Not this time.
So someone else who's on the call, you want to identify yourself, you're certainly welcome to.
That might be me, Carol Doyle. I'm also a resident of Wanamassa.
Can you say that again, please?
Carol Doyle.
Carol Doyle, and I'm a resident of Wanamassa. Also just joining to learn what the committee does.
Well, welcome.
Yeah, we're glad
Thank you.
We have a couple of minutes. If you all have any questions at all, as much as we may or may be able to answer them, we'd be happy to hear them.
Yeah, if you have any, if you're listening in, if you have any comments or thoughts that you want to share with us, this is a good opportunity.
Or concerns.
No, but we'll be sure to drop in again. Thanks. Thanks for having us.
Okay, well, glad you're here. So, anyone else have anything? Because Ed, you don't know what to do if we're not going running into his time period.
I mean, my meeting might actually start on time for the first time ever.
Actually, I think we should get a credit.
Absolutely.
Well, I think.
That sounds good. That sounds good. So
I make a motion that we convene.
let's talk a little bit about that. Let's flesh out maybe a little bit the kind of things that we need to do. Okay. Since we're here, right? So I wrote down some notes, right? Like for example, what's the order of business for this hazardous tree removal program? You know, in the right of way.
I would like to say that I appreciate Kelly Terry being here on behalf of the council team tonight.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you
Yes.
for joining.
Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you. I've been out of commission due to a medical emergency and I'm just getting back to myself. So thanks for having me.
Glad you're feeling better and glad you're here.
I think there needs to be a better way to identify them in a little more timely fashion than what it is.
Right, so just talking without saying this is how it's gonna be, okay? What should that order be? Let's say,
What's the next step?
I mean, someone's gotta, there's gotta be a tree, okay?
I mean, somebody either has to call it in, or somebody in the shade tree, or the town, when they're driving around, you see something.
Right, we know there's a tree. See, part of the problem is Bill Brooks is involved, right? But Bill Brooks is limited to a certain amount of time.
Yeah,
And
he's only got 25 hours
And he's
a week.
running,
To not give him any
he's
more.
running around, he's pretty much flat out.
So I'd rather him just do permits instead of running around for you guys.
So I think we've identified this as an issue, is that we need a tree guy in the township with more time available. I mean, we need to have, either he has to be full-time or we need someone who can do this work.
You know, I
We're
wonder,
limited. We're
I'd be
short-staffed.
curious to know, for example, Bradley Beach's guy, right?
Yeah, I mean, they got a guy they're paying. He's not on their staff. He's a private.
Maybe, see, I think part of the reason.
I gotta find out who it is.
I think it all boils down to money, like everything else does in this planet, right? So why is Bill limited to 25 hours?
That's a good question.
Other than the fact that Bill himself, maybe Glade is limited to 25 hours.
Is he still
Except I
working
think
at
he's
Red
spending
Bank
some
and other
overtime.
jobs?
He may be spending overtime. I can't say. But, so the question is, and part of that is because I guess, Kelly, maybe you can tell us, but after a certain amount of time, right, now that person's an employee, they've got all these benefits
Yeah, I guess they will.
that add up to more than a person's salary sometime, right? So that being the case, okay, maybe we need, if we're really gonna make this work, this is a separate aside, we're gonna need one or two more Bill Brookses of some kind, you know.
Either that or a licensed tree expert on call.
Right.
That's
Well,
what
people,
said.
Well, we don't have one at this point.
Well, that's what I'm saying. They're right. Those people, but they would have to be like, we need someone responsible to setting up a program, especially for public works and whatever, and what's the budget and what are we going to do and how do they do it? And then those people, Bill's not going to be training all these people, you know, but someone else could train the people, for example, with what they're doing and have to do. You know, I mean, there was someone that someone mentioned, it might have been Bill or someone, but there was a crane accident up by the ocean where someone was an unlicensed whatever, and someone died on a crane accident in the last few years.
Interlaken, there was one.
There was one, yeah, I'm saying, okay, because these are people who are unlicensed, they come into town, but right, you've got this thing about the people being licensed in town, they come in and they get the license, you know, and they even have a license from the state, but some some operators are gonna be better operators than other people, like anything else. Baseball, you see this a lot of people better than others. You know?
Those homeowners got like a $5 million lawsuit out of them. They're not having a license.
Licensed operator.
Yeah, well, not yet. They were.
Well, the one process we have put in place is you have to be registered in the town now to do tree work in town. So we have gotten that
Yes.
set, so that's like.
Well, not that there aren't people that aren't.
Oh, no, we know there are people who are abusing it,
But,
who don't do it, but at least there's a process in place, and if you're not, you get.
Well,
Right.
what-
Right, you shall be.
the process is in place, and one of the things the town has never been really good about is enforcement or inspection. I mean, we can go around town in a lot of different areas that nobody's bothered to look at, and then overgrown, they've got, I can walk around Wanamassar and I can show you houses that were rebuilt with the ridge pole too high, they're too close to the street. 5 foot fences in the front yard.
Yeah.
They exist.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. That's a tough piece.
So,
That's a really hard piece.
On the tree work in the town, I mean, I don't think Steve's looking to use his budget, barring that he doesn't have that much money to spend as it is, to start doing more work.
That's always been the thing. That's why
I mean-
his budget needs to be increased
Yeah,
by
either that or,
to do this work. And then once his budget gets increased to do this work, part of that budget has to be a person
well, unless
to
it's,
do some of that work because he's already got all his people working.
if you got separate money. See, his problem is, Public Works is cut to the bone as it is, so he really doesn't have a lot,
That's
a lot of manpower to put anywhere.
Right. Part of the budget has to be whatever, but if we have a lot of trees in this town, and we want to have more trees in this town. We want to have safe trees in this town. Okay? So, and I think, personally, from everything I see, the public will support that. It has to be presented in such a way that, we can get what we need and go forward. Okay, that soapbox is getting wobbly, so, it's almost that time.
Time to close down here.
Anybody think they've had enough?
Yes.
I'll move. I'll move it.
I'll second.
Okay.
Thanks, Steve, for
So,
contacting Laura.
Meeting's adjourned.
Patty?
Thanks for joining
I
us.
moved it.
You need a shorter